Hey, what is up, lovelies? It's Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and this video is going to be focusing on the community, and not just the community here on YouTube, but the Love and Deep Space community as a whole. I stumbled upon this post, and it really did resonate with me, and I kind of want to talk about this, especially since my community here on YouTube has started to grow, which I'm very thankful for. But it's also a little worrying because of course I can't control everybody's opinions, and I don't want to. And also everyone's going to have their own opinions regardless of what videos and what messages I try to bring out. That being said, it's why I resonate so strongly with this user here. So, to Infinity 23, Deep Size, Dear Love and Deep Space Twitter, and generally the fandom from a fellow Love and Deep Space player. I honestly miss the early Love and Deep Space days, where there was no problematicness and players enjoyed and was at peace. But, well, now it's inevitable that it's on its way to becoming a toxic fandom, and there's no denying it because it happens when a fandom grows bigger. It also comes with the clatter of other things. I genuinely wanted to make my account drama free and enjoy the game at peace, but it's hard when things keep popping up that make you question the community. I miss the days when we could all just focus on what brought us all together without worrying about the noise. It's tough to create boundaries, and I guess that's the only way to keep the joy alive. Maybe the best approach is to tune out the negativity. After all, the game itself hasn't changed, just the space around it. So this is part one of the actual post. There's another part to this, but let's talk about part one first. So it is true. Like, when I first started playing this game, I wasn't actively making videos yet. I wasn't truly, going through Twitter or any of the other social media platforms for Love and Deep Space. I would just, occasionally check whether or not they would post about upcoming banners. But the community surrounding it, when I looked at the comments, was very supportive, very excited, and enthusiastic about the game, and there was no hate being spread. But in recent months, it seems like the community has suddenly changed, and it's grown in size, and there's only, a very easy correlation here that with more popularity comes more drama. And I do think it's because the people who initially got into this game were people who already knew what a Otome game was, and they had experience, having different love interests come into the game, and different people loving those different love interests for who they are and what they brought to the table, and knowing that they are just technically pixels on the screen, right? So there was that understanding there. And not only that, but this game is also a gacha game, meaning that it brings in a lot of different people from a lot of different communities in the gacha space that aren't necessarily the most understanding and mature audience. And I'm not talking about age here, I'm talking about like real maturity when it comes to understanding the world around you and being empathetic towards others as well. And that's something that the gacha space, kind of misses. It misses on a very big point. And having the Otome game community and the gacha space kind of like mix on that can create an incredibly toxic environment. And with the growth of the game and with the growth of the fandom, which I'm always thankful for, because Love and Deep Space has done something that is, pretty much pioneering in the Tomy Gacha space, creating this 3D game for so many, female users out there. Primarily female users out there. but it comes with a, I guess, a learning curve of how to understand one another in this space. There are a lot of people who have their own opinions about what love interests should be in the game, or what certain game mechanics should be in the game. I've gotten a lot of pushback on parts of the community that tell me that I shouldn't be comparing Love in Deepspace to other gacha games like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves or Honkai Star Rail, because they're not the same genre of game. And while I understand that point of view, there is also a bridging gap, because those other games are also gacha games. Love in Deepspace is a gacha game as well. And while they have opposing views to mine, there is a way of expressing those opinions without being degrading, condescending. There is a way of, having a conversation without being aggressive. And it's a two-way street when it comes to me reciprocating those kinds of comments. It has to deal, there is a really fine line between knowing when to stand your ground and also trying to understand where the other person is coming from. And that kind of skill, that kind of empathy and understanding of the human interaction has kind of been lost over the years because of social media. And that is also like another huge factor as to why the gacha space in general can be such a toxic place, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions and they're very, very loud about them. And they're so good at sharing their opinions, but not necessarily the best at listening to other people's opinions, even though they may not agree with them, or even though they may agree with them. It's all about learning from your peers and also understanding where your peers are coming from. That way you can actually better formulate your own ideas and, see the fallacies or the truths of somebody else's opinion. But that has been lost because of social media, because there is no longer this understanding that the words that are written on the screen are coming from a person. And sometimes when you're I'm going to use the term chronically online. Sometimes when you're chronically online, you forget that those words on the screen come from another person. They come from somebody who is like you, who is a living, breathing human being on the other side of the screen. Yes, they may not be the most intelligent person out there, they might not be the most wise or mature person out there, but they still have feelings and they should still be treated with respect, to a certain degree, of course, given the circumstances that you were talking to somebody anonymously, technically. And I feel like that is a skill that has been lost because people don't talk face to face anymore. The society has changed so much where we have lost this ability to communicate face to face with people, and the only people who are really good at talking to others are people who are in the service industry or people who talk to people all the time. Not necessarily people who are in corporate offices, because sometimes they're just locked up in their offices. Typically, it's people who are on the floor, in retail, in customer service, that are the best at communicating with other individuals. And that is the only place that I've seen, people who are more mature, people who are typically, okay, this is from my experience only. And that's just, a skill that has been lost, especially with the younger generation, because they've been handed social media on a silver platter and have been consuming it since they were, very, very young. Hence the term iPad babies. This is a huge change in how humans have interacted with one another, and it's leaking into so many different aspects of our lives without us really fully being aware of the repercussions of that. And that's why you get these toxic spaces. That's why you get toxic in online spaces like the Love and Deepspace community, and even with like K-pop, even with celebrities online. Like, when it comes to conversing on the internet, you forget, not everybody forgets, but a vast majority of people forget that they're speaking to somebody else who is another person. And this usually comes from places like exclusively used to be only on like Reddit, only on Twitter, but it's spread everywhere. To be perfectly honest, that's my opinion on it. And I am very fortunate enough to have a community on YouTube that has been very, very understanding and kind and very open-minded, and understand that, you know, we're all talking to one another, kind of on the equal playing field, sharing our opinions respectfully, because we all love this game. Like this user says, after all, the game itself hasn't changed, it's just the space around it. And I want to hopefully create a community that is just as respectful as it was in the very beginning, until the game, you know, until I stop covering the game in the future, or if, you know, I eventually fall out of love with Love in Deepspace. Who knows? But while I am still on YouTube, while I'm still making videos for LADS, I want to continue to enjoy it, and basically exactly what this user says, where, you know, I have to make those boundaries with those people who are a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too like opinionated, and not willing to listen to other people's opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a way of sharing your opinion respectfully, and there's a way of just yelling at a brick wall. And that is actually the next point I wanted to make in part 2. So part 2 of this post says, I'm gonna keep this as best as I can, as neutral and vague. It's fine when you don't like certain characters. You have every right to like who you like and who you don't like, but it becomes an issue when it crosses into disrespect or outright hostility towards others who feel differently, spreading misinformation and harassments. Fandoms thrives on opinions and diversity, but they can quickly spiral into toxicity. And that is exactly what I was saying earlier. I mean, fandoms are huge, right? You have different people coming from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, and different like walks of life, and everybody is going to have their own opinion about different things. Whether, say, they could like Zayn because, I don't know, their father was a doctor, or they enjoy being with Raphael because Raphael reminds them of a friend that they used to have a crush on or something. So like, everybody has their own personal experience that shapes their own opinions, and with all of these opinions being shared online, being shared in the Love and Deepspace community, you have to realize that your opinion is your life experience, and it can be shared, but it's not going to immediately be accepted by everybody else, because everybody else has their own life experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can come to terms with that, or you can either fight it, which then breeds the toxicity in the community, because if you're not willing to listen to other people, and you're not willing to come to a compromise, then you're basically just screaming at each other without listening to each other's opinions, or to each other's to each other's opinions, basically. So it just becomes this screaming match where there is no end to that conversation until the person who owns the IP, Paper Games or Infold, makes an official statement about this, which we all know they're not really the best at making official statements about anything. We're still waiting on an official statement about them getting hacked on their websites, so they're not the best at negating drama in the community. Maybe because they don't know how to handle it, or maybe because they enjoy having so much discourse about the game because it fuels more eyes to look towards love in deep space. So we can't rely on them to fix the community. We have to work on that ourselves, and that starts with each individual who's listening to this video. I'm sorry, this video isn't necessarily the most visually appealing, but as an audio experience, it really just starts with us. It starts with us and how we communicate with others online. Yes, there are going to be idiots everywhere. That is human nature. Everybody is an idiot at one point. I was an idiot when I was younger, and I can still be an idiot now. We're not we're not incapable. There it is. Sorry. We're not incapable of being idiots once in a while. That is human nature, and it is what helps us grow as people. So yeah, that is the next part. And then no players has the right to tell another, hey, you shouldn't like this character because they are this and yada and that yada yada. If I don't like them, you shouldn't either. I have come to terms a long time ago that people won't enjoy the things I like, and I learned to respect that. But making it everybody's problem about your hate, go do that on your own private space without ruining the fun of others. If you hate said character, so be it. Don't engage. Being disrespectful and blatant send disgusting, disturbing, rude messages. You are wasting your time and others. Focus on what's you happy. On what makes you happy. So let's respect each other, because we all come here for the same thing. So yeah, that is very, very true. Like, you shouldn't force your opinions onto other people, because that is almost like communism. A dictatorship, and it's like a manipulation thing. Everybody has to have their own opinion, or else we are no longer a self-thinking community. We have to be able to have our own opinions and know how to deal with other people's opinions, even though they might not align with ours. And also to know when to not share your opinion. Okay, there is also a very important part there. My teacher used to say that opinions are like a-holes, like the anatomy, like your butthole, actual butthole. Everybody has one, okay, but I don't want to see yours all the time. And you probably don't want mine all the time. So yeah, that is the analogy my teacher used to say, which is the funniest thing in the world. But it's true. Like, there are people who you would like to see their opinion, and there are people who you would not want to hear their opinion from. And if you don't want to hear specific keywords, or if you don't want to see those kind of things when you're scrolling through your timelines or feeds or whatnot, block those keywords, guys. Like, sometimes ignorance is bliss, especially when it comes to the over toxicity in the community about the most ridiculous things ever, especially misinformation being spread, especially for things that are just being made up about different characters, whether that be Caleb come into the game, whether that be because of Silas, or about Xavier, Raphael, or Zane. Like, these characters in this game is meant to be a wide fishing net to catch as many players as possible coming into the game. The point of an Otome game is to have as many love interests as the company can handle in order to catch the hearts of as many players as possible, and that way they can fund their game. It is not whether or not you like that individual or you like all of the characters. It is about what makes the company the most money. So if people are saying, oh no, this love interest shouldn't be in this game, well, if that love interest has like 1,000, 100,000 or more, 1,000,000 followers, the company is still going to add that love interest into the game, whether you like it or not. that is completely out of our control. And that is something that we all have to get over. Even if you don't like Caleb, even if you don't like Silas, even if you don't like any of the other love interests, you know, that is not up to us. That is what the company wants to do. And you can't make the company delete a character just because you don't like them. And that is exactly what happened with Silas. In the CN community, they were saying that they should delete Silas. Do you realize how many people joined the game because Silas was put into the game? It was a massive amount of people, and they're not going to lose out on that much revenue by deleting one of their biggest cash cows in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these guys in this game are huge cash cows. Caleb will be a cash cow for the CN players. Are you kidding me? They've been waiting for Caleb to return to the game. So yeah, whether or not they choose to add another love interest after Caleb, that is yet to be determined, but it could be a potential future for us, and we're just gonna have to sit there and take it, because truthfully, it's just what the company wants, and it's been premeditated already. Caleb has already been decided to be a love interest since the beginning of the game. I mean, why would the official team commission artwork for Caleb if he wasn't going to be an official love interest in the future? So that being said, they already have a plan for us. They already know what's going to happen in the game itself. It's up to us to make the community a better place to, you know, be in and to experience this game in, because we're basically on our own. Infold is not going to correct us. Infold is not going to, you know, hold our hand and make us feel better, especially on the EN side. They are so slow at rolling out like things for the EN communities. You saw it with the VIP tiers. The VIP tiers were there for the CN community pretty much right away. We had to wait nearly a year before we got ours, and we're still waiting. To be perfectly honest, we're still waiting for the final pricing, for the final announcement on that. And when it comes to like official announcements in general, Love and Deepspace doesn't do that. They only did that for the rapper who was trying to like defame. Is that the term? Defame the game, or basically trash talk the game. They made an official statement about that because it would ruin the company if they didn't. And, you know, if the communities are just complaining about resource grinds and stuff like that, or if their website was hacked but it's something that's easily fixed, they're just gonna brush those things under the rug, and it's very, very annoying, and I wish that they weren't like that, but they are. And so it really is, like I said, up to us to create the community and the space that we would want to be in. And it starts with how we communicate with each other, and hopefully, you know, you guys understand that. And I know a lot of you will, because you guys are really amazing here on my community. You guys really are so supportive, so understanding, so mature, so open-minded, and very, very willing to understand where others are coming from. And I'm so proud that the community that is following me is like that. I am beyond happy, you guys. You know, whenever I read my comment section, it's such a relief to know that, you know, I don't have to deal with toxicity all the time. It's only when I'm scrolling on social media that I see that, because it just pops up, you know. If it's trending, it's trending. What can you do? But you know, once in a while, when I do see somebody who's being a little bit too much in the comment section, you know, I gotta do some maintenance. I gotta clean it up. But yeah, that being said, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole situation. I know this was a little bit more of a chatty video, but hopefully you guys see why it had to be said, or at least understand where I'm coming from and where To Infinity 23 is coming from. Because I definitely agree with their point of view on the situation. And it's so shocking that they only got 1 retweet and 17 likes. Like, come on, guys. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, I cover love and deep space to the best of my ability. And yeah, I am Lynn, the Gacha Goblin, and I will see you lovelies in the next video. Bye now.